A wise old owl lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why can't we all be like that bird? The Christmas Tree Theory. Who are the gatekeepers of knowledge? Is there a special class of humans that is smarter than everyone else? Do you believe that you are in this elite sect of humanity? And if so, why? How many times have you called someone stupid, ignorant, or belittled them for their lack of knowledge? Why are you so sure that your way is the right way? In my time in school, I participated in an art class. There was a particularly interesting assignment that was given leading up to the holiday season that year. There was to be a contest held, and the winner of the competition would have their artistic submission displayed in the community grocery store. As a student in the class, you could not choose whether or not to participate. It was a requirement. Like the other students, I spent several weeks composing a work for submission. I would describe my artistic abilities as acceptable, not particularly talented in any specific area, but able to produce a reasonably appealing drawing if required. Because of this, I decided to create a pen and ink sketch looking down the main street of the town. This was done with a vanishing point perspective, giving the drawing a three-dimensional feel with depth and distance. I picked a starting point just past the location of my school, moving down a street that included the post office, a small triangular street corner, and the community drugstore, finally continuing toward the lakefront of our small town. The drugstore and street corner were central to the drawing. There was a small park area of grass just past the store, but before the street corner, that contained a lone fir tree approximately 15 feet tall. This tree was rather unremarkable for most of the year, but each holiday season the town had a tree lighting ceremony and decorated it for the Christmas season. A fair amount of the residents would turn out for the ceremony, and it became an annual tradition of community fellowship. The tree then remained lit throughout the holiday season. I always enjoyed the tree when it was lit. It was very understated, never flashy or gaudy. In a simple way, it reminded everyone that it was the Christmas season, no more, no less. My drawing was pen and ink on paper, so basically black and white. I had originally thought to paint it, possibly in a watercolor, but my skill as a painter left much to be desired, and I was kind of struck with the simple elegance of the black and white. I decided I would leave the sketch, but being Christmas, I thought that I would color the tree. I used colored pencils to create a lone, lighted fir tree in the small park at the corner of the street just past the drugstore, just as it is in the town. My only intention as the artist was to emphasize the Christmas season. Like the actual tree, no more, no less. I completed the drawing and was reasonably pleased with the result, enough to get a good grade in the class at least. After a week or so, I was informed that the drawing had been chosen as the winner of the contest and would be put on public display. It was satisfying to win the competition, but I wasn't sure I wanted to be judged by the entire town, who would now be looking at my work hanging over the deli counter in the local store. It was a small town, so most of the families knew or had at least heard of each other. And in the weeks that my drawing was hanging above cured meats and cheeses, I had a quite profound experience that changed the way in which I viewed the world. People that I knew, some very well and some less, would approach me and tell me that they had seen my picture, and in most cases enjoyed it. But that was not the remarkable part. The interesting thing was the interpretation of my work. It seems that the colored Christmas tree had created a tremendous amount of intrigue, and people were quick to discuss this with me. One individual, whom I knew very well, had commended me about my social commentary on the commercialization of Christmas. Another was moved by my interpretation of the town losing its tradition as continued urban development was changing the fabric of the community. Very curiously, people didn't ask me about the colored tree or its purpose. They told me about it. I found this fascinating. Here I am, as the artist and creator, being told by viewers what the tree meant. Viewers who never seemed to give a thought as to whether that was my true intention or not. Somewhere in time, my simple idea to emphasize the holiday season had become a social commentary that was to be defined by the viewer. I would like to tell you that I created the art to do that very thing, but I didn't. People had taken the interpretation that appealed to them, and quite confidently championed it as the correct rendition. So the interpretation of an almost black and white drawing was anything but black and white. This life lesson became known to me as the Christmas tree theory. Not only will individuals interpret the things they see through their biases, they will also assume their interpretations are correct. Things are very rarely just black and white. Remember that you are a collector of data. Your senses take in information and then process, classify, and categorize that data. Don't you think your experience and bias will affect this categorization? What is the original point of truth, and how do you determine it? Just because someone else creates a different categorization, does that make it wrong? Some interesting things are being presented to you in this time. Those who do not share your best interests, like big words and fancy language. Theories with impressive names, like the Dunning Kruger Effect. Things that make you feel you are right because you are more intelligent, superior, or better. Things that narrow your critical thinking. When those feelings start to take hold, just remember that sometimes a Christmas tree is just a Christmas tree. If you enjoyed this presentation, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is incredibly helpful. Christmas time is here. Have a safe and happy holiday season. Take it away, Thornton Melon.
Hi, I'm Kurt Vonnegut. I'm looking for Thornton Melon.
What do you think? Someone else wrote this?
Look, all I know is that you didn't, and that's what disappoints me. Tell you something else, whoever did write it doesn't know the first thing about Kurt Vonnegut.
And another thing, Vonnegut, I'm going to stop payment on a check.